She said, "I can't have children." The cowboy smiled. "Good. I've got enough kids for both." The wind howled like a banshee straight out of hell, whipping rain across my face in sheets so thick I could barely see the nose on my horse's muzzle. Montana in 1887 was no place for a lone woman like me, especially not in the dead of a storm that had turned the Thunglung into a raging beast. I'd been riding for hours, my skirt plastered to my legs, the cold seeping into my bones like a thief in the night. My name's Elizabeth Hayes, 28 years old and carrying a secret heavier than the saddlebags slung over my poor, trembling mare. I couldn't have children. Doctors back east had made that clear after the fever took my little one from me years ago. It was a wound that never healed, just scabbed over enough to let me keep moving. But right then, all I could think about was surviving this godforsaken tempest. Lightning cracked the sky open, illuminating the swollen river ahead like a jagged scar. My horse, Bessie, spooked at the thunder's roar, her hooves slipping on the mud-slick trail. "Easy, girl," I whispered, my voice lost in the gale. But she reared wild-eyed, and before I could rein her in, we were plunging toward the water. The river grabbed us like greedy hands, pulling us under. I gasped, choking on the icy torrent, my arms flailing as Bessie thrashed beside me. Panic clawed at my chest. This was it, the end I'd half expected after losing everything back home. No family, no future, just a drowned teacher in some forgotten frontier. Then, strong arms wrapped round my waist, yanking me from the depths. I surfaced, sputtering, clinging to a broad chest that smelled of leather and rain-soaked earth. "Hold on," a gruff voice shouted over the storm. He hauled me onto his horse, one arm pinning me secure while the other guided his mount through the flood. We broke free onto higher ground, the river's roar fading behind us as he spurred his stallion up the bank. My heart pounded like a war drum, not just from the near drowning, but from the raw power of the man who'd saved me. He was a shadow in a storm tool, broad-shouldered, with a jaw set like granite dot. We rode hard until the outline of a ranch emerged from the darkness, lanterns flickering defiantly against the wind. He dismounted first, helping me down with hands that were calloused but surprisingly gentle. "You all right, ma'am?" he asked, his voice low and steady, like the rumble of distant thunder. I nodded, shivering, my teeth chattering too hard to speak at first. Up close, in the dim light spilling from the porch, I could see him better. Jack Harlan, as he'd introduce himself, later dark hair plastered to his forehead, eyes the color of storm clouds, and a scar running faint along his cheek. He looked every bit the cowboy legend whispered about in saloons. Tough, unyielding, but with a quiet fire that made my pulse skip. Inside, he commanded, guiding me toward the door. The ranch house was sturdy, built from logs that had weathered more storms than this one. As we stepped in, warmth hit me like a blessing, the fire crackling in the hearth, the smell of wood smoke and fresh-baked bread chasing away the chill. But what stopped me cold were the 4 small faces peering from the shadows. A boy of about 10, sturdy and sharp-eyed, stood protectively in front of the others. That was Sam, I learned, with a mop of brown hair and a frown that said he'd seen too much for his years. Beside him, a smaller lad look, maybe 6, grinned, mischievously despite the late hour, his shirt untucked and boots mismatched. Then there was Grace, 7 and delicate as a wildflower, her braids undone and eyes wide with curiosity. And the tiniest, Rosie, just 3, clutching a rag doll, her thumb in her mouth as she yawned, "Pa?" Sam asked, his voice laced with worry. Who's she? Jack shed his dripping coat, hanging it by the door. Found her in the river, near drowned. Get some blankets, son. The kids scrambled, and soon I was wrapped in wool, a mug of hot coffee pressed into my hands. Jack knelt by the fire, stoking it higher, his movements efficient, no fuss. Name's Jack Harlan. This here's my Spread the Harlan Ranch. You're welcome to stay till the storm passes. Elizabeth Hayes, I managed, my voice hoarse. I'm a teacher, heading west for work. Thank you for saving my life. He nodded, not one for many words, but his eyes lingered on me a beat longer than necessary. There was something in that gaze, a quiet assessment that made my stomach flutter. I'd heard tales of men like hymnon cowboys carving out lives on the edge of civilization, fierce as the land itself. But here he was, with these kids. It didn't add up. As the storm raged outside, rattling the windows, I couldn't help but ask, these children, they're yours? Jack's mouth twitched, almost a smile. In a manner of speaking, Sam's folks perished in a barn fire down south. Luke's ma died in the cholera outbreak last year. Grace was left at the church steps, no note, no nothing. And Rosie, her pa swung from a noose for rustlin'. I took M in, figured a man with land could give M a shot at something better. My heart ached at the stories, mirroring my own losses. These little ones, scarred by the harshness of the frontier, yet here they were, safe under this roof. That's mighty kind, I said softly. Not many men would take on such a burden. Ain't a burden, he replied, his tone firm. Family's what you make it out here. The words hit me like a punch. Family. The one thing I'd longed for, the one thing fate had denied me. I sipped my coffee, fighting the tears that threatened. But Jack wasn't done. You got youngins of your own, Miss Hayes. A husband waitin' somewhere. The question pierced deep. I set the mug down, my hands trembling. No husband, and I can't have children. The confession slipped out, raw and unbidden, in this stranger's home. Why? Maybe the storm had stripped me bare, or maybe it was the way he looked at me. Without pity, just steady curiosity. He paused. Then a slow smile creased his face, not mocking, but warm, like the first ray after rain. Good, he said. I've got enough kids for both of us. The words hung there, simple yet profound, easing something tight in my chest. For the first time in years, I laughed a shaky, relieved sound. Jack chuckled too, low and rumbling, and just like that, the tension broke. The kids, sensing the shift, relaxed. Grace tugged at my skirt. You gonna stay, miss? Tell us a story. I glanced at Jack, who nodded. If she have us. That night, as the storm howled on, I spun tales of far-off lands for the children, their eyes lighting up in the firelight. Sam listened skeptically at first, but even he softened. Luke bombarded me with questions, his energy boundless. Rosie climbed into my lap, her tiny hand in mine, and Grace braided a strand of my hair with careful fingers. Jack watched from his chair, pipe in hand, his presence a solid anchor. But peace didn't last long. As dawn broke, grey and weary, a shout echoed from the barn. Jack bolted upright, grabbing his rifle from the wall. Stay inside, he ordered, his voice edged with steel. I herded the kids to the window, peering out. 2 shadowy figures were slipping through the fence, rustlers after the cattle. Jack strode out, coat flapping, his stance pure frontier grit. That's far enough. he bellowed, the lead rustler whirled, drawing his pistol. This land's ripe for the tackin', Harlan. You and your strays ain't stopping us. Gunfire erupted, sharp cracks splitting the morning. Jack dove behind a trough, returning fire with deadly precision. One rustler yelped, clutching his arm, and fled. The other charged, but Jack's shot grazed his leg, sending him sprawling. I held my breath, heart racing, not just fear, but a thrill at Jack's raw masculinity, the way he protected what was his. It stirred something deep in me, a longing I'd buried long ago. Sheriff Tom Riley arrived later, a burly man with a moustache like a broom and a badge pinned to his vest. He'd been riding patrol when he heard the shots. "Harlan, you all right? These varmints been hittin' spreads all week." Jack nodded, tying up the wounded rustler. "Nothin' I couldn't handle. Miss Hayes here saw it all." The sheriff tipped his hat to me. "Ma'am, lucky you washed up here. Jack's the best shot this side of the Rockies." As they hauled the rustler away, Jack turned to me, wiping sweat from his brow. "Sorry you had to see that. Frontier life's rough." "Rough, but real," I replied, meeting his eyes. There was a spark there, unspoken, pulling me in. My mind raced with questions. Who was this man, really? What secrets did he hide behind that stoic facade? And why did his smile make me feel like maybe, just maybe, my broken heart could mend? The day unfolded in a blur. I helped with chores, my teacher instincts kicking in as I watched the kids. Sam showed me the barn, proud of his chores, despite the hardness in his eyes, from the fire that took his family, no doubt. "Pa says we gotta be tough," he muttered, but when I praised his knot tying, he beamed like any boy. Luke, the imp, led me on a chase after a runaway chicken, his laughter infectious. "Catch it, Miss Lisbeth." He giggled, and I did, feathers flying, feeling alive in a way I hadn't since losing my Clara. Grace confided in whispers while we baked biscuits. "I miss my mama sometimes," she said, "but Pa makes it okay." Her trust tugged at me, reminding me of the mother I could never be, or could I? And Rosie. Oh, Rosie. That night, as she mumbled in her sleep, wandering the hall, I scooped her up, humming a lullaby my own mother taught me. Jack found us in the rocking chair, his expression softening. "You're good with her," he said quietly. "They're easy to love," I whispered back, my heart swelling. He lingered in the doorway, the fire casting shadows on his rugged features. "Stay as long as you need, Elizabeth. Teach M if you want. Lord knows they could use it." I nodded, but inside, emotions churned. Gratitude mixed with attraction, fear with hope. This ranch, these kids, this man, they were pulling me into a world I thought lost forever. But whispers from town folk, carried by the sheriff earlier, nagged at me. Jack Harlan was a mystery, a man with enemies, fighting to keep his makeshift family. What dangers lurked? And could I, barren and broken, find a place here? As I lay in the guest room, the storm's remnants pattering on the roof, I touched the faded ribbon in my pocket Clarice. For the first time, the pain felt shared, not solitary. Jack's words echoed. "I've got enough kids for both of us." Was it possible? The thought kept me awake, heart pounding with a mix of dread and desire. Little did I know, this was just the beginning. The rustlers were a warning, and darker storms brewed on the horizon. The next morning brought clear skies, but tension simmered. Jack saddled up for town, his revolver holstered low. "Need supplies," he said. "You mind the young—" I agreed, but worry gnawed. As he rode off, silhouette strong against the rising sun, Sam approached me. "Pa's got enemies, miss. That rustler wasn't alone." "Who?" I asked, pulse quickening. "Old Bill Carson, mean as a snake. Wants this land for his cattle empire. Pa stood up to him once, and now," his words trailed off, but the implication hung heavy. I busied myself teaching the kids letters in the dirt yard, using a stick to trace shapes. Luke scribbled wildly, Grace copied neatly, Rosie clapped. But my mind wandered to Jack. What if Carson ambushed him? The thought sent a chill down my spine, not just fear for his safety, but a deeper ache like losing something before I'd even claimed it. Hours later, hoofbeats thundered back. Jack dismounted, a graze on his arm bandaged roughly. "Carson's boys jumped me on the trail," he growled. "Nothing serious." I rushed to him, tearing cloth for a proper bandage. "Let me see." My fingers brushed his skin, warm and firm, sending sparks through me. He winced, but didn't pull away. "You're brave," I murmured, tying the knot. "Or foolish," he replied, eyes locking on mine. In that moment, the air thickened, charged with unspoken feelings. His hand covered mine briefly, rough yet tender. "Thanks, Elizabeth." The touch lingered in my thoughts as the day wore on. That evening, with the kids abed, we sat by the fire. Jack shared stories of his past, losing his own family to Indians' raids, wandering the plains until he staked this claim. "Never thought I'd have young'uns again," he admitted. "But these kids, they saved me as much as I saved them." I opened up, too, about Clara's death, the emptiness that followed. I came west to escape the pitying looks. But here, with you all, he leaned closer, the fire reflecting in his eyes. "You fit, Elizabeth, like you were meant to be here." My breath caught. Was this love stirring so soon? The pull was undeniable, a mix of comfort and fire. But doubt crept in society's rules, my infertility, Carson's threats. Could a woman like me truly belong in this wild world? As if sensing my turmoil, Jack stood, offering his hand. "Come outside. Stars are out." We stepped onto the porch, the night sky a blanket of diamonds. His arm brushed mine, and for a heartbeat, the world narrowed to us. "Life's hard out here," he said softly, "but it's worth fighting for." I nodded, heart full. But in the distance, a coyote howled a reminder that peace was fragile. What would tomorrow bring? More danger? Deeper bonds? I didn't know, but for the first time, I wanted to find out. The days blurred into a rhythm that felt both foreign and familiar. I taught the children in the mornings, their eager faces a balm to my soul. Sam struggled with reading but excelled at numbers, his pride swelling when I praised him. "You're smart as a whip, Sam," I said, ruffling his hair. He blushed but grinned. Luke was a handful, always distracting the others with pranks, like hiding Grace's dull. Luke Harlan. I'd scold, but my laughter betrayed me. He reminded me of the boy Clara might have had as a playmate full of life. Unscarred Grace blossomed under attention, her drawings of flowers and horses pinned to the walls. "For you, Miss Liz," she'd say, shyly. Rosie was my shadow, her mumbles turning to words under my encouragement. "Mama Liz," she called once, and my heart nearly burst. Jack noticed. "You've got a gift," he said one afternoon, watching from the barn door as I helped them with chores. His gaze held warmth, making my cheeks flush. but shadows loomed. Sheriff Riley dropped by again, his face grim. Carson's stare in trouble, Jack. Talk in town 'bout you not being fit for these kids, no blood ties and all. Jack's jaw tightened. Let 'em talk. They're mine. The sheriff glanced at me. Miss Hayes, you planning to stay? Might help his case. The words planted a seed. Could I? As evening fell, Jack and I walked the fence line, checking for breaks. Don't let Riley worry you, he said. It's not that, I confessed. It's ... me. What if I'm not enough? He stopped, turning to face me. Elizabeth, you've brought light to this place. To me, his words wrapped around my heart, pulling me closer. We stood there, inches apart, the sunset painting us gold. I could feel his breath, see the desire in his eyes mirroring mine. But he stepped back, ever the gentleman. Good night, he murmured. That night, dreams of him haunted me, strong arms, tender touches. Waking, I yearned for more, but fear held me back. What if Carson struck again? What if society deemed us unfit? The answer came sooner than expected. A letter arrived from the welfare office in Billings. Formal and cold. Investigation into the guardianship of the Harlan children. Possible relocation to orphanage. Jack crumpled it, eyes blazing. Over my dead body, I placed a hand on his arm. We'll fight it, together. His fingers laced with mine, a promise in the squeeze. The touch ignited something, fierce love, perhaps born from shared battles. But as night fell, gunshots echoed again. Carson's men. My heart raced. This was our life, now danger and desire intertwined. In the chaos that followed, Jack grabbed his rifle, charging out. I followed, lantern in hand, the kids hidden inside. The rustlers were bolder this time, 3 of them, torches lit. Burn it down. One yelled, Jack fired, dropping one. The others scattered, but not before a bullet whizzed past my ear. Get back, Jack shouted, but I stood firm, loading his spare gun. Together we drove them off, the air thick with smoke and powder. Panting, Jack pulled me close. You could have been killed, so could you, I whispered, our foreheads touching in that embrace. Emotions flooded, fear, relief, passion. His lips brushed mine, a tentative kiss that deepened, tasting of salt and promise. It was my first in years, awakening parts of me I'd thought dead. Pulling back, he smiled. I've wanted to do that since the river. Me too, I admitted, breathless. But the victory was short-lived. The welfare man arrived the next day, a prim fellow named Mr. Ellis, with spectacles and a ledger. Mr. Harlan, these children need a proper family. Bloodkin or married folk. Jack's face hardened. They have a family. Ellis eyed me. And you, miss, your role? I'm the teacher, I said, but it felt insufficient as he left. Promising a decision soon, doubt crept in. Could we overcome this? Jack's enemies, society's rules, my own demons. That evening, with the kids abed, Jack took my hand. Marry me, Elizabeth. Not just for them, for us. The proposal hung, sweet and terrifying. My heart screamed yes, but my mind whispered warnings. Carson was still out there, plotting. The storm had brought me here, but what tempests lay ahead? I squeezed his hand. I need time. He nodded, understanding. Take it. But know this, I love you. The words shattered my walls. Love In this wild land, amid danger and loss, it bloomed. As I lay awake, the ribbon in my pocket felt lighter. Perhaps healing was possible. But Timon gnawed what would Carson do next? Would the welfare take the kids? And could I, Baron Elizabeth, become the mother they needed? The answers waited in the days to come, but for now, in the quiet of the ranch, hope flickered like the hearth fire.